May please the Son report, my Lord. T.S.T. Jotero is my name. I appear on behalf of the first accused person.
May it please the court, my name is El Matuku. I appear with Advocate Ms. Tole and Mr. A. Mukia for the second accused.
Very well.
My Lord, when we adjourned, we undertaken to file and upload the record of proceedings, which was done. I'm not so sure it's now reflecting on the system.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Madam. My Lord, we were to take 3 points. I liaised with the state, in which I was soliciting whether or not there are factual issues that are in contestation. And the issues that we seek to prove are as follows. Number one, those are the factual issues. The question of whether or not there was interference from the Zimbabwe anti-corruption, which resulted in the consent to bail being revoked by the state. It appears, my Lord, that that issue is in contestation. The other issue, which is in contestation, is whether or not the accused persons, when they appeared in the magistrate's court on the 20th of June 2024, they were coming from home or from lawful custody. My Lord, I would therefore move that before we motivate the points and points of law, that the applicants be allowed to lead evidence from the applicants themselves. If that finds favor with the court, we intend to place the first accused to the legal state in order to establish the factual basis on these contested factual issues. My Lord, that would be my prayer. Unless the court wants me to address it on the suggested course of action.
So you intend to call the first accused person to give evidence?
Yes,
And who else? Just the first accused person?
Just the first accused, but there may be a probability that we may intend to subpoena some other witnesses. But for today, my Lord, the first accused should be sufficient for us to establish the factual issues.
Very well. State.
My Lord, the state does not accept that there was any interference. It's not aware of it. The state is not opposed to the course of action that the defense intends to take to establish the basis for that constitutional issue that their rights were infringed by what they say it happened outside the courtroom at the Magistrates Court. The state would also like to highlight that the defense had not asked the state in securing any witnesses that they might wanted to call in this matter. Otherwise, the state would have availed them so that the matter is not yet piecemeal.
Mr. Media says that he is unable to say whether the defense will be calling more witnesses in addition to the evidence of the first accused person.
In that case, the state will hear from the accused persons, hear from the defense whether they need any assistance.
In assistance to this.
That is what they
Yes.
Thank you, my lord. My lord, I'll invite the first accused to the witness stand.
Thank you, my lord. Igama lami kuthiwa Moses Mpofu.
Swear amen.
As the court pleases, Moses Mpofu uyafunga na ukuthi ubufakazi ozabethula phambi kwaleli dale buzaba bungebeqiniso, iqiniso eligcweleyo kungela enye into ngaphandle kweqiniso.
Ngiyafunga.
Nxa ufunga phambi isandla sakho njalo uthi ngiyafunga inkosi insisi.
Ngiyafunga inkosi insisi.
The witness is now under oath, my lord.
Thank you, my lord. Witness, I want you to speak up, even though you are using the Vele language, also an official language of Zimbabwe. We need you to speak up so that we can clearly hear you.
Ukhulumele phezulu kwenzela ukuthi wonke umuntu ophakathi lapha ebesizwa lokho okukhulumayo.
Yazwakala.
Understood?
But do you know why you are in this court?
Ngaba kwazi ukuthi lapha edaleni udingani?
Yebo.
Yes.
And you fully understand the allegations that you are facing?
Njalo uyakwazi icala wena okhangelele lalo.
Yebo, ngiyalazi.
Yes.
Do you also understand and appreciate the application that you have made to the court?
Njalo uyazwisisa isicelo lesi osifake phambili kwale nkundla.
Yebo.
Yes.
Yes, in your own words, not specifically using legal jargon, what is it that you are seeking before this honorable court?
Ngawakho amazwi ungathi wena ufuna ukuthi idale leli inkundla le ukusize ngendlela iphi?
Ya, mina engakucela kuleli dale ukuthi indlela engiphathwa ngayo ecaleni leli mbona ingani ayihambelani nomthetho welizwe langendlela mina engazisa ngayo kuma ebantwini ababengidinga.
I believe that the way that I am treated in this matter is in conflict with my rights, especially considering the fact that I surrendered myself to the authorities.
Yes, so what is it that you are seeking this court to do about it when you say that your rights are being violated?
Ufuna inkundla leyo ube ikusiza njani khona?
Ya, ngathi ngizaqalisela emuva ukuthi mina indaba le ngayizwa njani.
I would like to start from the beginning. I'd like to relate to the court how I heard about this case.
No, wait, before you get into that, you appreciate that you are in the High Court, you are before a trial court, you have raised an application. What is it that you want this court to do about that application?
Yazisa phela ukuthi wena useyayikhoti la. Njalo kulesicelo lesowasifaka singakangeni phela phakathi kwendaba yangikhona. Kulesicelo lesowasifaka phambi kwale inkundla. Yisicelo sangikhona othiwa uchasise ngaso. Ukuthi ufuna ukuthi inkundla leyo ikwenzelani.
Ngicela mina inkundla leyi ukuthi ikhangelisise ukuthi indlela engiphambili kwayo la ngendlela engithonisiswa ngayo icala leli mbona akukho emthethweni akuhambelani nemthetho ofuza indaba sithoniswe ngayo.
I would like the court to take a closer look or to investigate how exactly this matter that is before the court is being handled, as well as how my rights are also being infringed.
Okay. Now I want you to, in your application, you raise issues that when you appeared at the Magistrates Court on the 20th of June 2024, you were remanded in custody, yet you were coming from home.
Esiceleni sakho xa ufuna ukuthi ukhulume phela phezulu kwalokho owakubhalayo phela owakubhalisayo sithi wena uzuhambe eMagistrates Court mhla ka-20 June 2024. Wena kwakuthiwa khona ubusuvalelwa phakathi ngoba wena wawuvele uvela endlini.
Now, where I want you to start?
See what date?
The 20th of June 2024. Where I want you to start is to explain to the court how you found out about these allegations against you and what you then did after you had found out about it.
Yena ufuna ukuthi uqalisele phela lapho usizwa ngendaba le ukuthi usuzile ngendaba le wena ususenzani uqalisela khona.
Ya, ungakakhulumi ngakho bengicela ukungiqondisa ngendaba yedate. I saw 20 June or 26 June.
It was not the 20th of June, it was the 26th of June.
When you appeared at the Magistrates Court?
Lise liye Magistrates Court.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We always verify that fact. But nonetheless, tell us what happened prior to your appearance in court.
Kunjalo nje kuthiwa ungaqalisa ukuchasisa ukuthi wahamba njani ungakangeni ungakami phambili kwenkundla eMagistrates Court.
Ya, mina ngesikhathi indaba nsibayazi ngingekho lapha elizweni bengise China.
When I first heard about this matter, I was not in the country, I was in China.
Ngakho indlela engayizwa ngayo ngezwa amafoni esengena ebantwini lapha ekhaya isihlobo labangani bekhuluma ukuthi hawu uhamba njani uyadingwa lapha ngoba kule ndaba ephume ku-news la kuma-TV iza.
How I became aware of this matter was through my relatives and friends who were actually calling me, asking me about what was happening. And this was because they had heard about this case
Yes.
from the television,
TV, social media, lamanye ama-media platform achiyene.
on the social media and other different social media platforms.
What is it that came out of the social media as well as the other platforms that you speak of?
Kuyini okwakukhulunywa lapho kuma-social media lalapho okhulume khona ukuthi kwakusokuphunyiswa indaba le?
Waphuma chairman we-Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, Mr. Michael Reza, ekhuluma ngendaba eyayibe lama-audios alikhayo.
Mr. Michael Reza, who is the chairman of ZAC, actually appeared on these social platforms stating that
wayesithi ufuna ukuzwisisa ukuthi si-investigate ama-social media, ama-audio notes ayeke aphume ebantwini.
that he wanted to carry out investigations pertaining to audio recordings that had leaked.
Ama-audio lawo ayengaye umsebenzi esasiwenza mina labanye abangani bami, Mr. Chimombe, uMike, lo Wikine uchivayo.
These audio recordings were pertaining to the work that myself together with my friends had done or carried out. And these friends of mine are
Mike Chimombe lo Wikine uchivayo.
Mike Chimombe and Wikine Ochivayo.
Yes, go on.
Uma-audio la sasikhuluma kwakulokuhluphana ngendaba yomsebenzi esasiwenze sonke, sokulokungazwanani okwakukhona, and then ama-audio lana somehow alikha, kodwa ngazi ukuthi alikha njani and alikhwa ngubani.
In those audio recordings, we had a misunderstanding about the work that we had done. And unfortunately, those recordings were leaked. I do not know how the recordings were leaked.
Okay, let's just wait there.
So we had a misunderstanding.
About the work that we had done.
You said we do not know how the audio is.
Yes.
Mr. Council?
Thank you. You say that there's a video that came out in which the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Chairperson invited, who was invited by the Zimbabwe Anti-Chairperson, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Chairperson.
Uthe video le uchairperson wayenxusa abantu ukuthi bezikhangelisisa indaba le.
Evidyo lo chairperson we-anti-corruption wa-invite mina, uMike Chimombe, lo Wikine uchivayo. Wasesiya phambili wathi.
In that video, he invited myself, Mike Chimombe and Wikine Ochivayo.
Wasesithi kuma-audio nawo azwileyo, uzwe kukhulunywa njalo ngendaba yembuzi. Indaba leyo layo kule interest yokuthi eyizwisise ukuthi ihamba njani.
He also mentioned that from the audio recordings that he had listened to, he had had an issue about the goats, and that he was also interested in that issue.
Did the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Chairperson comment about the audio? That's the audio that had leaked in that video?
Wakhuluma yini nge audio yangikhona le yona le ICT yaphunyiswa?
wakhomenta kakhulu ngayo, ngathi vele ivideo yakhe wayekhuluma mayelana ngama-audios la eyithile, yindaba ayivele eqondane la.
He commented a lot about the audio recordings. I would like to believe that that was the issue that he was mostly talking about.
I don't want you to go into detail, but what is it that the audio leakages are basically saying? What was in those audio?
Ama-audio la ayekhuluma ngendaba umsebenzi esawenzayo as ama-partners, ama-business partners kwayona leyo i-transaction esasilayo.
The audio recordings were about the work that we had done as partners in those transactions.
I-transaction leyi sasincedisane lenye company e-South Africa okuthiwa yi-Rainform CC eyayisebenza lathi sincedisana layo ukuthi ithole umsebenzi lapha ku-Zimbabwe Electoral Commission izek.
And that work we had actually working with the South African company by the name of Rainform CC, in which we were trying to assist them to get a contract with the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission.
Okay, in those audios that you are referring to, just in summary, who are speaking and what were they saying?
I-audio iphi yakhona engareza kumbe yethu ye-partnership yethu?
Which audio recording are you referring to? The one that Mr. Reza
or eyethu
involving Mr. Reza, or the one involved with myself and my partners?
Remember, Mr. Reza's issue was a video. I'm referring to the audio between the one that you say was had to do with the work that you had done for the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission.
When sikhuluma ngo-Mr. Reza besikhuluma nge-video lapha sibuza nge-audio, ama-audio recordings.
Ya ama-audio la indaba isiqokoqela sendaba esasikhuluma ngaso indaba yokungashiyani okulingeneyo ngendlela esasivumelane ngayo noTivayo, so sasuka sasesixabana endabeni yokugabana lokho esasikusebenzile.
So the main issue that we were arguing about in those audio recordings was pertaining to how we were going to share the profits as per our agreement. to write a response to the ZAC chairperson, informing him that we had seen or heard about his invitation, and we also informed our lawyer that we were not in the country at that time.
Yes. Then did you eventually come back?
Yes, that's when I spent.
Yes.
What happened when you came back?
We know when uzuphenduka.
Siphendukile saphenduka Thursday uma ngicabanga kuhle. Then ngeFriday sabonana lawyer Monday sahamba sonke lo lawyer uJetero lomgiya sayefika ezumazek offices.
So we arrived on a Thursday, and then we met up with our lawyers, Mr. Jetero and Mr. Mgia, on a Friday. And then on a Monday, that's when we proceeded to the ZAC offices.
Yes, what happened when you got there?
Lifika khona ngale kwahamba njani?
Mzaloko sathi sifika eZAC sathola u-investigating officer owakuthiwa nguye ofuze izindaba yakhona engekho wasefonelwa ngamalawyer.
When we arrived there, we were informed that the investigating officer, or the officer who was dealing with our case, was not present. So the lawyers are the ones who then tried to get in touch with them.
Yes, go.
Wasetshela amalawyer ke yena ukuthi ubhizi lezinye indaba azilungisisayo umsebenzi eHigh Court uzasibiza uma esesifuna.
He told our lawyers that he was busy with the other work that he was doing at the High Court, and that he would call us when he needed us.
Kungelasikhathi eside within 1 hour silokhu sinamalawyer wasefona wathi hayi sengifikile ofisini buyani sagijima saya.
After a short period of time, that is after just an hour, he then contacted our lawyers and informed them that he was now back at his offices, and we quickly proceeded there.
Yes, go on.
Safika lapha sambona u-IO wasesazisa futhi amalawyer ukuthi hayi ngithemba ibone but lokho ngisasebhizi kufuze ngibuyele le ndaba eseHigh Court, so ngizalibiza futhi nxa sengifuna.
So we met up with him at his offices, and then thereafter he then informed our lawyers that he was still busy with the case, which was at the High Court, and that he would call us again when he needed us.
Okay, what was the name of the IO, do you remember?
Usakhumbula ibizo lakhe u-IO?
Yes, kuthiwa Henry Chapwanya.
Henry Chapwanya.
Yes, you confirmed that you were then excused on that day.
Yikho ukuthi mzanokho wavumela ukuthi lihambe.
Yes, saphuma sahambe sesitshele ukuthi okwanamhlanje ngaphansi ukulibona ukwehlukana kwethu lamalawyer.
Yes, that is correct. We were then excused on that day.
What then happened after that day?
Ngemva kwelanga lona lelo wase ukuhamba njani?
ngolwesibili amalawyer afona sitshela ukuthi hayi uChapwanya sefonile njalo uthi buyani eZAC.
On Tuesday, we were contacted by our lawyers, and they informed us that Mr. Chapwanya had invited us to come to his offices.
Ngazisa amalawyer ukuthi angikho ngelanga lonele Tuesday wangamphumile ngeplazini eZwimba, so ngathi ukuthi namhlanje angikho ngiyakwanisa ukuthi ngingaphangisa ngizalitshela kodwa ngibona ukuthi namhlanje aphangisa ngingaba ngwakusasa.
I then informed my lawyers that I was not available on that Tuesday as I had traveled to my farm, which is in Mzimba, and that I would be available on the following day.
Yes, did you eventually go back to the Zimbabwe anti-corruption as the invitation by Japan?
Lagcina libuyela yini khona ngale njoba wayelitshekthile kuye uChapane?
Uma ngaphambaniseki kusasa kwakhona uma ngaphambaniseki ngeWednesday yikho lapho esahlangana khona namaloya ekuseni sase sayabusa uChapane around 8:30 ekuseni.
If I'm not mistaken, it was the following day, which was on a Wednesday, that we met up with our lawyers in the morning and then we proceeded to Mr. Chapanya's offices.
Yes, what happened when you got there?
Lifika khona ngale wahamba njani?
Safika kuChapanya wasingenisa ofisini yakhe wase sibalisa amaphepha ababesithi yiwo ama charges ethu.
When we arrived there, he invited us into his office. Then after that, he made us read the charges, or some papers that he mentioned were the charges that we were facing.
Okay, that's wait there. These charges, what were they about?
Ama-charges angikhona ayengawani.
Ama-charges lawo wayekhuluma ngendaba yokuthi sangena kutenda company engingu-director wayo okuthiwa i-Black Private Limited, and then ama-charges lawo ayekhuluma ukuthi sabhadalwa imali yokuthi si-supply imbuzi esingasazisaplayanga ngokugcweleyo.
In those charges, they mentioned that we received a tender to supply goats to a company. We received a tender to supply goats, but we failed to supply the goats.
Okay, basically, these are the charges that are now before the High Court.
Indaba yangikhona icala ngikhona eliphambili kwale inkundla eHigh Court.
Yep.
Yes.
Were you advised of the other issues that had to do with the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission that initially were being raised by the Zimbabwe anti-corruption chairperson when you were invited for interview?
Latshelwa yini ngezinye izindaba lezi ezazikwenza ngeZimbabwe Electoral Zec?
Yes.
Latshelwa yini njengoba yizo ezinye indaba ayekhulume ngazo?
Actually mina ngambuza yena uChapanya ukuthi hawu kanti usukhuluma ngembuzi enye indaba leyi ezekhi esayizikhululwa ngayo ngo-chairperson sithini ngayo.
I actually asked Mr. Chapanya about that issue pertaining to Zec, because I was surprised that he was now telling us about the issue with the goats.
Yes, what was his response?
Waphendule sithini?
Wasesithi hayi leyo ikomunye investigating officer yena asebenza ngayo yileyo eyembuza asibizeleyo.
He informed us that that issue was being handled by another investigating officer, and that he was only handling the matter with regards to the goats.
Okay. Yes. What happened after charges were laid to you? What then happened after?
Ngemva kokutshelwa phela ngamacala lawa kwasekuhamba njani?
Sithe siqeda lapho wasesithi asambeni lesiye ecourt. Yikho ukuphuma kwethu laphana ngangena emotweni yami ngadrayiva lo Mike Chimombe sasisonke nomunye lawyer wethu one uMr. Tswetero umgiya la walandela ngeyakhe lezakhi la ikhokhela salandelana sayicourt.
So after the charges were laid out, he then told us that we were supposed to go to
a magistrate court.
To the magistrate's court. So we left his offices. I got into my vehicle together with Mike Chimombe, one of our lawyers, Mr. Jetero, and Mr. Ngia followed behind us in his own vehicle, and the ZAC officers were the ones who were leading the way.
All right, just hold on there. When we were told that you are now going to court, were you put in handcuffs?
Selitshela ukuthi selihanjiswa court la afaka izankosi. No.
Was there a Zimbabwean corruption officer in your car securing to make sure that you would not flee?
Emoteni yakho wayekhona yini owezakho wayehlezi lana ebona ukuthi alisoze libaleke?
Ansela qiniso khonapho kodwa babekhona ezimoteni zabo basas-driver silandelana.
I'm not really sure about that, but what I still recall was that they were in their own vehicles and we were following behind them.
Did you, at that time, did you still have access to your phone, and was your liberty restricted in any way on your way to court?
Lisendleleni siye court khonapho wawusesele phone yakho yini kumbe kwakukhona yini okwakutshengisa ukuthi wena wawusuyisibotshwa khonapho?
Hayi ngitsho ifoni ngangilayo kusukela size singene e-court sasingabantu nje si-free sasingabanjwana njengezibotshwa ngoba la yakhumbula ngacela ukuya esambuzini sibili savunyelwa ngasihambela ngedwa ngaphenduka kwakunjalo nje.
I still had my phone with me, and even when we were in court, I still had my phone with me. There was a time when I even asked if I could use the gents, and I was allowed to go there on my own.
Okay. When you got to court, what then happened?
Fike court wahamba njani?
Sifike court ama-lawyer la investigation officer bangena emahofisini NPA bathe bephuma laphana babuya bebamba iphepha bathi iphepha leli sesingena ke e-court indaba yesiyazwakala.
So when we arrived at the magistrate's court, the lawyer together with the ZAC officers proceeded into the prosecutor's office. So when they came out with a document, and they indicated that the matter was going to be appearing before a magistrate on that day.
Actually amaphepha la emabili basebesitshela ukuthi hayi e-court lapha sesingena kodwa i-NPA i-consentile ku-bail, so singena nje kuyezwakala ukuthi sinikezwe i-bail. Basazisa ukuthi-ke okwamanje thina omunye wenu osendlini ebuye lama-title deeds, i-passport le-1,000.
According to one of the papers that they had, it was actually, the state was actually consenting to bail. So we were then asked if we could call someone at home to bring our title deeds, passport, as well as $1,000 in cash.
What I want to know is, you say that two papers came out of the offices. Who brought these two documents that you are referring to?
Elami lalibanjwe ngu-Mr. Jetero, elina Chimombe lalibanjwe.
The lawyers were the ones who were in possession of these papers.
All right. What then happened after you saw the paper in which the prosecution was condemned to death?
We know why I
Actually, once we are figure lunch, so basebesithi sisamele ukuthi idale nxa seliqala futhi after lunch lokho esimelele nje sathumela ngokuyilunch yethu sisidla siphandle basokusiza uMr. Reza.
So when this whole process was taking place, it was almost close to lunchtime. So we were told that the court had taken a break and that once the session began after lunch, that's when we would appear in court. So during that time when we were having a lunch, that's when Mr. Reza came.
Yes. Who is this Mr. Reza?
Mr. Reza, chairperson of Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission.
He's the chairperson of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption.
Yes, what happened?
Sasesaziswa amaloya ukuthi siyafunakala e-ofisini ye-NPA ukuthi siye xoxisana indaba yoba uLeza ekule ndaba futhi sike.
We were then informed by our lawyers that we were supposed to have a discussion in one of the prosecutor's offices with Mr. Reza since he had an issue that he wanted to discuss with us.
Thina sasala sihlezi phandle kwama-ofisi amaloya laboReza bangena bayibhulu kuthe-ke amaloya asephuma sithi madoda into sezitshintshile.
So our lawyers are the ones that went and had that discussion with Mr. Reza whilst we were outside. When they returned, they then informed us that things had changed.
Sasesimangala ukuthi kanti kuyini okutshintshileyo. Asesithi hayi isikole ezofikile laphana u-deputy director we-NPA wasesithi hayi avumelani lapho ukuthi thina sigrantwe i-bail.
So our lawyers informed us that Mr. Reza had met the deputy head for the NPA and that he had informed him that he did not consent to us being granted bail.
Kuthe kukhonapho uloya umgiya wasesitshela ukuthi uReza lwana ufike kwisiteshi yokuthi Mr. Mbiya amacala la ayabuya ephela umsebenzi wokuye uhamba wena bisa lapha amaphepha uconsent bail.
Then Mr. Mbiya then informed us that Mr. Reza had actually told him that these cases come and go and that he was supposed to hand over the papers that showed that the state had consented to bail.
Just before you proceed, you say your lawyers advised you that Mr. Reza had met someone from the NPA. What did you say? What is it?
I'm a lawyer from Mr. Reza,
bahlangana bonke belo deputy director umama bangena bonke.
the deputy director of the NPA.
Proceed.
Yes, you can proceed from there.
Sesiqeda lapho oloya wasesitshela ukuthi hayi sibiselile yodincwadi kodwa ingesilayo sigcinile ukuthi lathi ibe yiproof yethu phambili ngoba lokho okwenziwa ngoReza akukho emthethweni.
So the lawyers then informed us that they'd actually given Mr. Reza one of the papers that showed that the state was consenting to bail, but they remained with the other one, which they wanted to use later on as proof, because what Mr. Reza was doing was unlawful.
Yes, go.
Kuthe around 2 p.m. sasesingena e-airport, sesingena e-airport, sambona simize uReza la ihlezi ikhodi leya
We went into court at around 2 p.m. and Ms. Teresa was also in the courtroom.
So thina sasisakubona ukuthi kwenzeka ukuthi ezebuye lapha ecourt lokho emele indaba ukuthi ingene sure singifuna ukuthi singaphili ibheli enkundleni ibheli yana
So when we saw Mr. Reza, we then in court, we then realized that indeed he did not want us to be granted bail, and that is exactly what happened.
That's all on there. Let's be a little bit I'm just trying to convey to the community. All right. What I need to understand from you is, from the time that you were at the Zimbabwean corruption after the time that you went to court, were you ever detained in any way?
We were not detained.
I know that I have no further for this evening.
Thank you, Madam. Mr. Mpofu, we have narrated the law about what happened with what was the height? What was the height which was what was your height which you say was early and by who?
When I was
indaba leyo ngizayi-answer ngama-stages ayi-3. Iyakuqala
I'll answer that in three stages.
iyakuqala ngolwazi lwami olulutshwana lomthetho ukuthi nxa kule-investigation eyenziwayo ngawe muntu ungadingwa ngamapholisa uzikhambise wedwa comply konke abakutshoyo njengakule indlela okwenzakala ngayo sukela kuye-consentwa ibheli bese kubuye umuntu ethi hhayi ibheli leli i-consentileyo irepreseni ubone ngani akukho emthethweni kanti uthatha ilungelo lalo.
Firstly, from the little knowledge that I know about the law, is that if a person is informed of the allegations, like I was informed, and then surrenders themselves to the said authorities, then after that we proceed to court and then actually a paper with the consent to bail, and then someone appears and then says that they are not consenting to bail, I think that is unlawful, and in that way I believe that my rights were infringed.
No. Mr. Mpofu, you appeared before a competent court at the Magistrates Court, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
There was a proper bail application where even the investigating officer gave evidence, correct?
Yikho ukuthi indaba isicelo sakho sawafaka phambili kwenkundla njalo investigating officer laye wabe senikeza ubufakazi ayisikho yini.
Khona apha nilaqiniso lakho ngoba mina ngolwazi lwami i-consent liyana yaphuma singakangeni court.
I'm not sure about that, because what I know is that that consent was obtained before we even appeared in court.
My question is, was there a bail application which was made on your behalf and on behalf of the co-accused person by your lawyers?
Umbuzo uthi ama-lawyer akho afaka yini isicelo sokuthi mina libe lisiza indaba leli vele ezindlini phambili kwenkundla le Magistrates Court.
Lelo liqiniso but lokho kwenzakala after i-consent liyana isithethwe.
Yes, that happened, but that concession was obtained before the application was heard in court.
The concession
was obtained before the application was heard in court.
Are you aware that a consent by the Prosecutor General is not an order of the court?
Uyazwisisa ukuthi nxa umtshutshisi evuma ukuthi abantu laba benganikwa i-bail akutsho ukuthi lokho kuvele enkundleni phela.
Ya lokho angeke ngivume kumbe ngale ngoba nilalwazi lapho ngakutshiyela ukuthi ama-lawyer ami engancedisa.
I have no knowledge of that, so I'm not in a position to comment.
I put it to that the consent by the Prosecutor General through a representative could be withdrawn at any time before it was tendered before the court.
I would really object to that question. And it appears from the line of questioning of my colleague, he may not have understood the violation that the first accused person complains. The issue is not whether or not the consent would guarantee bail. The issue is that there was interference with a judicial or a quasi-judicial decision that had been made by the National Prosecuting Authority. Therefore, then that violated his right to the protection of the law. That is the issue. And the manner in which my colleague is...
You said the issue is whether there was interference. It's interference
with the consent to bail that had been given by the National Prosecuting Authority. So the complaint of the accused person is that that interference amounts to a violation of his right to the protection of the law.
My Lord, that is the interpretation of my dear colleague. It is the line of questioning by the state is to the effect that as he was going to realize later, is that the Prosecutor General can receive representations from law enforcement agents. In arriving at any decision, and that does not amount to any interference. That is quite lawful. And also that the Prosecutor General has got the right to withdraw a consent if the circumstances of the case demands that the consent that had been issued should be so withdrawn. This is what the state is probing from the witness. The state is not obliged to follow the defense argument that was interference. It was not. There was proper, if that what they are complaining about what happened, that was proper consultation, which is quite healthy. That is all, my lord, that the state wishes to say in response to the objection by my colleague.
The challenge is that my colleague is really questioning the witness on legal issues or on legal questions, which I believe should be left to us, the lawyers, for submissions. If the question is that, do you admit that the mere fact that a consent to bail had been given does not necessarily mean that the court would accede to the consent? Those are really legal issues. And I believe that we will be able to curtail these issues when we now address you in motivating the application. That is really the basis of the objection.
I understand the objection to be that you are putting questions to the witness concerning perhaps legal issues. In other words, what the factual issue we can figure out from the evidence is that Mr. Leza arrived and did certain things and spoke to certain people. And whatever conclusions or inferences you may then urge the court to draw from that is a totally different issue. But the factual issues about what transpired, did Mr. Leza arrive? Did he have a meeting with the lawyers? Did he say something? Did he approach anybody? Those would be the factual issues that you may be focusing on. As to what conclusions to draw from that, you may leave that to address.
His Lordship pleases. This is my Lord, His Lordship pleases. If I may, I will proceed.
Yes. So the objection is sustained.
Mr. Mpofu, you have no personal knowledge about what transpired in the office where your lawyers, Mr. Reza, and the prosecutor discussed the issue. Is that correct?
Ayisikho yini ukuthi wena ulalwazi phela phakathi wokuthi lawo bezengene phakathi e-ofisini ukuthi babexoxa ngani?
Angeke ngitsho njalo ngoba oloya bami yabathemba ukuthi mina abangitshela khona yikho kwenzakele.
I cannot say that because I trust my lawyers and I believe what they would have told me.
The question is simple. Were you in the office yourself?
Umbuzo uthi wena ukhona yini phakathi kwe-ofisini le? No.
What you are telling the truth is not what you perceived. It is what you were told by your lawyers.
Okukhulumayo sithi liqiniso owalitshelwayo into owayitshelwayo wena athi into owazizwelwa ngezakho indlela. Yes.
So you cannot take oath and before this honorable court and tell this court what you did not personally perceive.
Kutsho phela ukuthi wena ma kunjalo ukuthi uthi wena ngeke wama phambi kwaleli dala ukhuluma izinto wena ongazizwelanga ngezakho indlela.
Oh, yikho kutsho umthetho.
Is that what the law says?
Now, Mr. Mpofu, the truth of the matter is that you don't know what happened in the office, and therefore you cannot testify on how the consent was withdrawn.
Iqiniso elikhona lokuthi wena awukwazi ukuthi kwahamba njani e-ofisini yona leyana. Njalo awukwazi ukuthi lize lifika lapha elikhona namhla ukuthi lincitshwe ibill ukuthi kwasokuhambe njani.
Ukuba khona ngangingekho sibili liqiniso kodwa ithemba lami ngokureza mina ngambona ngamehlo ami ngabe ukuthi kuyavumakala yena la ngaba khona esikhulumela ukuthi kafikanga yini wangena wakhuluma ngendawo yokuthi bail consent withdraw.
It is true that I was not in that office, but the truth is that I know that Mr. Reza came, he was there, I saw him, and if it's possible, you can also come and tell this court that he came to the courthouse.
Did you talk to Mr. Reza upon his arrival?
When I wakhuluma la yini efika Mr. Reza?
Ngambingelele umuntu engimazi.
He's someone that I know, so I greeted him.
Did you talk about the purpose of his visit at the court?
Likhonapho ecourt lakhuluma yini ukuthi wayelandeni khonapho? No.
Your understanding, was there anything amiss with Mr. Reza's arrival at the courthouse? Is there anything that precludes him from visiting the courtroom, the courthouse?
Ngokuzwisisa kwakho yena kwakulento embi yini ngokuba kwakhe khonapho ecourt uMr Reza. Kulento yini engamvumeli ukuthi ebe khona khonapho.
Ukuvunyelwa uyavunyelwa kodwa ngolwazi lwami uMr Reza uvele wayesebenza khona pha ecourt engu-prosecutor general and i-coincidence yokufika kwakhe lokwala kwakhe ukuthi ibail siyiphiwe kimi ngabona kungayisiyo into enhle.
I believe that Mr. Reza was once employed there at the Magistrates Court as a prosecutor general, but it's the coincidence that doesn't sit well with me. That it was such a coincidence that he came and then our bail was then denied.
No, Mr. Reza was never the prosecutor general of Zimbabwe. Where are you getting that he was a prosecutor general?
Uthatha ngakuthi wayengu-prosecutor general. Kazake bengu-prosecutor general.
Angichonga ukuthi wayengu-prosecutor general owathi position yakhe angiyazi exactly kodwa yakwazi ukuthi wayele position enkulu e-Magistrate Court.
I know that he had a high position at the Magistrates Court as a prosecutor, although I'm not aware of the position that he held before.
I see. Now, do you agree with me that all the issues that happened in the office, only Mr. Mkia and Mr. Jekero can testify to that? Because those are the people who are discussing with Mr. Reza.
Uyavumelana nami ukuthi kulokho kwakhulunywayo phakathi kwe-ofisini Mr. Jekero no Mr. Mkia yibo abakwaziyo njengoba yibaba bekhona.
Angazi ukuthi ngiyavuma kodwa njalo amvumelani labo ngoba kufana lokuthi oJetero nomgiya labomaduku bonke amaloya bakwanisa ukuthi bethi sihambile sibiziwe ema-chambers yebeke sitshela abazasitshela khona singekho kodwa siyakuvuma and sihambe ngendlela neyababesitsheleyo.
I would say that I can agree or disagree with what you're saying because these are our lawyers. So if, for instance, they go to the chambers and then they discuss whatever they discussed, and then they come back and they explain to us what they discussed and things go according to what they've told us, then I would believe them.
Now, you eventually went to court, isn't it, on that particular day?
Ngagcina lisiye court ngelanga langikhona lona lelo. Yes.
Did your lawyers raise the issue of your rights having been violated by the arrival of Mr. Reza at the courthouse with the magistrate's court?
Ama lawyers enyo akhuluma yini ngokuthi amalungelo enyo ayephanjaniswe ngokufika kuka Mr. Reza court?
Yeah.
Yes.
What did the court say was the violation of your rights? If indeed that was raised by your lawyers?
Nxa kuyikuthi ama lawyers enyo akukhuluma phela lokhu phambili kwedale la ngikhona e-magistrate's court. Idale lathini ngakho?
Angisakhumbuli ukuthi lathini idale i-ruling yayinde kakhulu ngama-page adlula I think over 100 or so angisakhumbuli kahle ukuthi yaphendula isithini kodwa.
I cannot remember what the magistrate said about our rights being infringed because the ruling was very long. I believe it must have been 100 pages or so.
Now, were you happy with the outcome by the magistrate's court on the issue pertaining to the violation of your rights?
Wena wasuthiseka yini ngalokho kwakhulunywayo lidale ngendaba yamalungelo ukuphanjaniswa kwayo?
Asisuthisekanga yikho indaba sayihambisa phambili edale elikhulu le-High Court.
I was not happy, and that is why we then had this matter brought before the higher court.
Did you give your lawyers instructions to take the issue pertaining to your rights from the magistrate's court to the constitutional court so that you could get a relief for the violation of your rights?
You also declined to object. That is also another legal issue. And my lord, for starters, the issue of whether or not the allegation that the right to liberty and the right to the protection of the law had been violated in as far as the actions of Mr. Reza are concerned was never really an issue in the...
You are not giving evidence. Don't give the evidence. The question is simply whether or not he instructed his lawyers to appeal against the outcome. So it's a factual inquiry.
My colleagues are advising me that we should let Mr.
No, you are not allowed to say what you are saying. I noticed that the objection has been withdrawn.
I intended, my lord. Now, Mr. Mpofu, you may answer the question. Did you instruct your lawyers to take the issue of your rights with the constitutional court, which rights you say has been violated?
Wawatshela yini amagqwetha akho ukuthi indaba le yamalungelo akho ukuthi beyise phambili e-constitutional court?
Ngesikhathi soneso ambatshelanga kodwa sayenza thina i-appeal e-bail refusal yethu ngapha e-High Court.
At that particular time, I did not instruct them to do so, but what we managed to do was to appeal against the bail ruling.
I don't want to confuse you, Mr. Mpofu, by saying that the issue of bail and the issue of violation of rights, these are two different issues. In that the issue of bail, you can appeal to the High Court, but the issue of rights is to the Constitutional Court. I'm talking about the issue of your of the rights, which was supposed to be taken with the apex court of this country. Did your lawyers inform you why the matter was not taken to the Constitutional Court to redress the violation of your rights?
Asikhulumi phela ngendaba yebill ngoba indaba yebill nxa umuntu engasuthisekanga iyakwanisa ukubuya ngapha. Indaba yamalungelo yiyo le ehanjiswa phela e-Constitutional Court. Yikho umbuzo usithi khona yona indaba yamalungelo akho yahanjiswa yini e-Constitutional Court?
That's not a bit confusing there. We have two apex courts. Well, I know that in constitutional matters, but that may not be very clear to them. When you say apex court, are you referring to the Supreme Court or the Constitutional?
The Constitutional Court, my lord.
At that particular time, I did not give them instructions to take the matter to the Constitutional Court.
Did you ever discuss the issue of taking the matter, to have the matter taken up from the Magistrates Court to the Constitutional Court with your lawyers? Did you discuss that?
Lake la ukhuluma ngakho yini indaba le yamalungelo akho ukuthi lithatha indaba le lihambise e-Constitutional Court?
Ngasiphi isikhathi?
At what particular juncture?
Yes, before the Magistrate Court came up with their final ruling. That was the time when that decision was supposed to be made. Did you discuss about that possibility to have the matter referred from the Magistrate Court to the Constitutional Court?
Ngesikhathi phela limelele ukuze ukuthi idale lizakuthini phezulu kwesicelo lesesifake phambili kwaleli ndaba ukundla. La khuluma yini la lawyer ukuthi indaba le yamalungelo ibihanjiswe e-Constitutional Court?
Le indaba yesikhathi seneso hayi azesikhulume ngayo, safocus more ngendaba ye-appeal e-High Court engambona kuyikuthi indaba yama
We focused more on appealing against the magistrate's ruling, and I was under the impression that when that appeal is heard, then the issue of the rights would also be included.
Now, Mr. General, Mr. Mugia, I advise you that on constitutional matters, the matter has to, you were supposed to seek for a referral from the Magistrates Court to the Constitutional Court for the redress of your family rights before the matter was concluded. Will you give me that advice for you to exercise your mind on how to proceed on the redress of your rights which have been violated?
Indaba le yamalungelo akho ukuthi uyakwanisa ukuyithatha isuka la e-Magistrates Court uyihambise e-Constitutional Court.
isikhathi soneso asikhulumanga njalo, kodwa into sasiyazi ukuthi asiqaleni siyefika e-High Court, then sesizabona ukuthi impumela ye-High Court injani, sithathele bona.
That time we did not discuss that. We first wanted to bring our matter before the High Court, and then from there we would proceed further, depending on the outcome from the High Court.
Now, did your lawyers explain to you that there is no appeal on constitutional issues from the Magistrates Court to the High Court?
I suggest you do that.
My lord, I told you that this is the person who should have been told all these things to exercise his discretion.
Well, I think it's something that you can raise if you believe that the person will not appeal on a constitutional decision from the court. That's perhaps your understanding of the law. That's something that we really have to address me on. But he has already said that at that time they did not discuss that. He was more focusing or more concerned with the decision on appeal. I think that should really be the answer to the factual. As to whether or not, and he has already said that the fact that we did not discuss is that we then make submissions as soon evidence.
I have no further question.
This is the best accused person.
Yes, ma'am.
So, represented by Mr. Chesel.
Yes, ma'am. However, our approach really to the application, the joint application.
Well, so there's no need for Mr. Chesel to watch persons because it's your own misfortune.
Yes. Just deal with me, my there's nothing in the exam. Unless the court has questions.
I'll tell you. Thank you very much. What language do you want to use? In Spain.
Yes, it was also reminding to speak up. You get the evidence of your co-accused person, Mr. Moses.
Yes.
Do you adopt that evidence as the truth of what transpired?
Yes.
Do you wish to make any additions to what you said specifically? If you wish to do so, just go to the issues that you want to take note of.
Yes.
Yes, you may do so. Let's just go to the point. You may not need to repeat what you said. Just clarify the point that you want.
The first issue that I want to confirm was that indeed we were in China
Chairman, my newspaper, 17 June, 18 June,
and we saw a newspaper article where Mr. Reza indicated that he wanted to interview us. The newspaper article was the one on the 17th. Was the one on the 17th and the 18th of June, 2024.
So the dates again?
17 June.
17 June.
And
2024, 18 June.
And 18 June 2024. This information was from the ZAC chairperson and also the spokesperson for ZAC.
Overwhelming evidence against the ZAC issues containing like Chimombe, which is
and in that article it stated that they had overwhelming evidence and that they wanted to interview myself, and Moses. And the issue was pertaining to corruption and abuse of office. So we actually left China to come and attend to these issues, the issue pertaining to the interview.
Chairman, furthermore, those issues, but when we arrive to SAC, can also continue to much of this God's results scheme.
So we were under the impression that we were going to discuss the issue pertaining to ZAC. But when we got to the ZAC offices, we were only charged about with the votes issue.
Okay. Just my question there before you go to finish is up to date, have you been interviewed by the Zimbabwean corruption concerning issues that have to do with the Zimbabwe Election Commission?
Kusvika parizvonove zvakavambogara nekasere vachikukura pane mivera nezvinyaya dzine zvekuita nezero.
Atina ndopatinozoreza kuende kuti kwadise prosecution because mumwe anogona kuzoita saka kuti chagara kuti which was second issue kuti tizoita.
That has not yet happened, and that is why we are saying that there is actually selective prosecution, because the only issue that is being focused on is the issue pertaining to the votes.
Okay, you said the 2 points. I really don't mind. That's the other.
The second one, after China approved SAC, we called in acting prosecutor, provincial prosecutor, Madam Shunai.
After we went to ZAC, we were called by the acting prosecutor, the provincial prosecutor, Madam Shonio.
You mean when you went to court?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. That's right.
I always know the content bail and also stated content bail. So you have my title deeds, you have 1,000, you have passport, and what your address is for the title deed and outside of the court.
She informed us that the investigation officer, as well as the prosecutor, consented to bail and asked us if we had the following particulars, that is passports, title deeds, and $1,000.
Who is considered today? Said she informed us that
the investigation officer.
And also the provincial
The provincial prosecutor, Madam Shoni.
Ask whether you have.
She asked us if we title deeds and also the addresses for those deeds.
Say something about that.
And also 1,000. And also surrender our passports.
Okay, let's just go a bit back from this point that we made. When you were invited into the office of Ms. Shonai, when she told you about these conditions on bail, was the IO from the Zimbabwean corruption present in that meeting?
Yes, he was in that office together with our lawyers, specifically Mr. Cheche.
And what is the name of the IO? So what you are saying to the court is that according to what you were told, in the presence of Henry Chapani, his attitude to bail had been sought by the National Prosecuting Authority, and at that time he was not supposed to bail.
You want to make a movement.
Not really married. I'm trying to comment or to develop from what
Let's give evidence, don't comment.
Okay, I will withdraw the person. I still get it right. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to point out to the court? Besides that,
Yes.
Then we talk about chairperson Michael Reza Machura.
We then saw Mr. Michael Reza when he arrived.
that's over. That's over. Before the arrival of Mr. Reza, when you were in the office together with Mr. Panya and Ms. Shonai, did Mr. Panya object to you being married together when that discussion was given?
Miss Chapanya Baka Pixamere, which Mr. Chapanya Baka Ingela Pixamere, which No, he was not opposed to us being granted bail. Actually, we were actually waiting for the consent to be typed together.
Yes, you wanted to mention something about this list. What is it that has not been mentioned by the professor?
So when I was waiting in the reception, that is myself, my partners, and Chapanya, when Mr. Reza arrived, he called Mr. Chapanya into the acting prosecutor's office.
Acting prosecutor.
Provincial acting prosecutor.
That's Shonai.
Madam Shonai. When I returned to the reception, I personally asked him what had transpired in the office, and then he told me that he had received instruction from his bosses to write an affidavit to cancel the consent that had been typed.
Yes.
That is all I wanted to say.
In that short discussion that we had with Mr. Sakai, did he disclose who the bosses that were saying that now you should like that?
We already knew it's time to work together. It's the mind already.
Yes, is there anything else?
No?
I have no further
Yes.
Now, Mr. Mpofu told this honorable that when the issue of there was initially discussed, he was outside. The employers only came with copies of the consent by the acting coordinator of the prosecutor. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Now, you are now giving the impression that you were inside as the issue of where was being discussed. Were you inside the office?
We were actually called into the office by the acting provincial prosecutor, Madam Chimombe, and she then asked us if we had title deeds
To confirm my addresses are correct.
to confirm the addresses of the title deeds,
To confirm the passport in 1,010.
to surrender our passports, and also if we had the $1,000.
Yes. So is it your evidence that you were only called in to confirm the suitability of the bail conditions which had been suggested?
Saka mukureva here kuti mangodanwa vamaofisi kuti munge muchizotsigira kuti mainge muchipodzera here kunge muchipiwa kamukana nekubvunza kwavaibvunza kuti zvinhu zvimamunazvo. Yes.
Now, was Wicknell involved in the issue of cost?
Nyaya yembudzi vaWicknell Chivhayo vaibatanidzwawo here?
No, he just commented on my audio rally. Other comment on my audio rally.
He just commented on the leaked audio recordings.
Now, the issue of pertaining to the audios, pertaining to the elections, what you are talking about, is not before the court. Is that not correct?
Andizve nyaya yemaaudio yamuri kutaura nezvayo haindiyo nyaya iri pamberi pendodara.
Kuti tizosungwa tizouya pamberi pedare takasungwa nenyaya yemaaudio nemalexiwa. Nyaya yemagota ina complaint minister inobva ikatisungisa. From our understanding.
We were arrested because of those leaked audio recordings. We were never arrested about the issue of the goats, but it was because of those recordings.
So, what are you saying? You are here in connection with the goats estate.
Yes.
Do you expect anyone else to join you in the dock in connection with the issue of goats, which is before the court?
Pane mumwe munhu wamunotarisira kuti anga achibatanidzwawo nemi panyaya yembudzi yamakamira pamberi penodaro?
Kwete, asi nyaya yedu iri kuti nyaya yakataurwa mumaaudience pane imwe nenyaya yekutanga yeZimbabwe Electoral Commission. Vakazoti furthermore tichazoda kuzointerviewa Mike Chimombe naMoses Mpofu nenyaya yembudzi.
No, that is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying was we were informed that we were going to be interviewed pertaining to the issue of ZEC, and that they were also going to interview us further on the issue of the goats.
In view of the fact that the issue before the court is pertaining to goats, is there any complaint pertaining to selective prosecution in the issue of the courts only? Because with the state is not privy to any other charges that you are facing or that you may face.
Sasa panyaya iyi yembudzi yamuri kutarisana nayo ke mungati pane kusarura kuitwa here pakuchuchiswa kwenyaya panyaya iyoyi chete yembudzi?
Hatingati nyaya yembudzi chete because state yakatidaro ndo panoratidza kuti iyo yakudzamirira kumarights edu. Why? Because nyaya yakatanga kutaura kumaaudio inyaya yezake ndo panouya selective prosecution kuti takataurwa tiri 3 iri kunochibvayo Mike Chimombe Moses Mpofu. Saka takaenda kuzake for interviews. We ready kuti tiinterview first case and the second case. Saka first case haina kubvira interview. So
we feel that our rights were infringed because the first case was the issue pertaining to ZEC, which we were supposed to be interviewed for, and then thereafter the issue of the goats, but we were never interviewed pertaining to the issue of the ZEC issue.
Let's clear this issue of goats first. Are you complaining about the composition of the people in the dock in relation to the issue of goats?
Sorry, question again?
Are you complaining about the composition of the persons in the dock in relation to the issue of goats?
Muri kunyunyuta here panyaya yembudzi, muri kunyunyuta here pavanhu varofanirwa kunge vari musungwa panyaya yembudzi? I'm not complaining on the issue of the goats. I am not complaining.
Why are you raising? Why are you therefore raising issues which are not before the court? Because you are supposed to be complaining about the numbers in the dock. That in this matter we are supposed to be 2, 3, 4, or 5, whichever the number, in order for the issue of selective prosecution to make any sense. The mention of some other case which is not which the court is not privy to, it does not make any sense. Does it make sense for you?
Andazvibatsirika kuti munge muchitaura nezveimwe nyaya pamuchiita pamusoro pezveimwe nyaya iyo yagara iri nyaya isitomboreka pamberi penodaro. Vari kubvunzai panyaya iyi yembudzi yamakatarisana nayo kuti panyaya iyoyo mune kunyunyuta here kwamuri kuita?
Zvakadaro state inoratidza kuti haisi fair kwatiri seZimbabwe because nyaya yakatisungisa ingari pasocial media yangari mumaaudios ari related kufirst case yaifanira kunge tichiinterview nesecond case. Saka pakaibva panobuda yekuti pakaitwa selective prosecution.
The issue of selective prosecution arises from the fact that when we were invited for interviews, it was pertaining to the first issue, which was the issue about ZEC.
Mr. Chimombe, I need to tell you that you need to hold your horses in relation to this other. If it is right, then if the composition of the people were in the dock at that time, you can then raise that issue. But in the matter before the court, you are not complaining. Is that also? So the issue of selective prosecution, as you told this court, is best case. Because you know what it wants.
You of course find ways to make your submission. Let's leave that. Wait for the campaign of submission.
Now to avoid my Lord, he is the one who specifically said that he needs it. That's selective prosecution.
Let me just comment. I actually thought that the line of President I didn't rise because I wanted to give him that I really not disturb the flow of the court proceedings. But whether or not, at what point they are entitled to raise selective prosecution is another question of the flow. And that issue should then be left to the lawyers for us to make submissions on it, and he can then respond.
No, he said that's how the issue of selective prosecution. So obviously, you cannot protect him because he's the one who is raising it. You must then explain. But I am satisfied that the person was properly preserved. And all I'm saying is that the state must now leave this issue where they will not to submission.
I think I will see a great deal and I said that the side of the mind. Now, in relation to the issue that you said your eyes were increased in relation to the appearance of the arrest, are you maintaining that your eyes were free? At what point you get to know that your license is free?
After my release, I said the more concern case, the attitude, Mr. Eza Luko, as a rule,
after our lawyers were both served with the consent to bail, Mr. Reza then came and withdrew those consents. So I believe that he actually committed an offense.
So, that you want to know about the infringement of your rights before you were taken to court for initial hearing.
I believe Mr. Mpofu answered that question. I would not want to include it.
Use the mouth to respond to that. I'm saying you court that you want to know that your rights is free before you are taken to court for initial hearing.
Yes, we became aware of that and informed our lawyers. But how was that? I informed Mr. Mpofu.
What they are saying, in relation to that, it's a very serious matter. And you are infringement of your rights.
He said that he was going to mention it in court.
Did you take up the matter of the infringement of your rights before the commission?
Yes.
Well, the issue is solved with the dispatch.
Yeah, no.
Was the issue taken up?
Yeah, that's a bit Yes.
Where was it taken?
Yeah, it is so. It was then taken to the High Court.
So that is how it was.
Your car put it in the package. That is what I think.
You can now go back to the
sections 229 and sections 230. The subpoena securing attendance of witnesses. The witness that we intend to call Michael Reza, the Zimbabwean production chairperson, and Mr. Whitney by
my lord, this is 20 minutes past 1. If maybe during lunch hour, the state can ascertain whether I can get hold of any of the who are nearby, so that at 2:30, maybe if there are any witnesses who are really available, then the state can then avail them. I also ascertain whether they need a subpoena or they can just come, so that we utilize the day fully.
So do you think recorded statements from the
no, my lord. I assume that what we need to lead from them really, my lord, is are issues that may not need the recording of statements.
You see, normally at High Court level, we expect you to give an indication of the evidence. If you look closer at section 66, remember the subsection. We don't only name witnesses, we give an indication of what they need to say.
Yes.
So, while the state has not raised the issue, it's on the court to know why those witnesses and what the party was calling
Under those circumstances, perhaps then to be prudent that the matter to be spoken, and we will use the law in order to subpoena the witnesses and then elicit statements from what we need those witnesses to testify to.
Police have already made a decision in what the witnesses are going to call. I'm sure if you come make a call, they can summarize their evidence so that they can, it becomes certain.
What you are saying that we can dispense with that?
No, I'm saying, my daughter, the state, what the state is saying, in view of the fact that they need this three witnesses, at least they can indicate the summary of what they are going to say. But they cannot say we don't know what they are going to say.
That's precisely the point I made. If it's granted that a party will call witnesses before interview, you will call witnesses because you expect them to give evidence that is fair. You don't call the witness to conduct investigation. In other words, that is why there has to be an indication of what the witness is going to say. Because that the one that witness is going to say is already known by the time of this
I think if the defense is seriously calling those witnesses, I'm sure they already make their mind. They can maybe afternoon again, they summarize what they are going to say. Because what might happen is that they might say they want 4 witnesses, and then they end up saying they are no longer calling, which would be a waste of course time. So if they are serious about it, they should be in a position to give the summary of evidence that they intend to adduce from the witnesses.
Yes. Do you have any problem with complying with Section 6?
My Lord, we have no problem with complying with those sections. But my understanding, my Lord, of the law, as well as the various decisions of this court, that really, in the criminal matter, witnesses are compelling witnesses. And that in certain cases you may invoke the law in order to secure the attendance of those witnesses before the court. I thought that my colleague dispensed with the need for us to really put out a summary text that we know.
I actually asked him whether it was expensive that you
Nonetheless, my Lord, we may then step down the matter to 2:30 in order for us to summarize the evidence that we need. Let's see what section. Brother, just thanks to
I've sent this on to the section. Yes, and interpret. Yes, we'll look at section 66, subsection 6, paragraph B and 2. What is it?
It says the following. The notice requesting the accused to supply the names of any witnesses or she proposes to call in his or her defense together with the summary of the evidence sufficient to inform the prosecutor general of all the material facts on which he or she relies in his or her defense.
That's point interpretation.
No, my Lord.
This
we just
Pero it's time, it's a convenient time to take the lunch break. Short. Now that it's 25 minutes to 2, we can take lunch break for 55 minutes and be back at. The court will adjourn.